Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the 20s Detox. I'm Bianca, your host, where we dive into all the things that I'm learning and unlearning in my 20s to elevate this decade. You guys won't even believe who I'm having on this week. It actually feels like an incredible full circle moment for me because I remember listening to her, well, I still do, her meditations, her affirmations, her YouTube. I love YouTube. And I am so incredibly grateful to have recorded an episode with her. This week, I have the beautiful Aileen Xu on today. She is a content creator, entrepreneur, and founder of Lavendaire, a lifestyle brand empowering people to create their dream lives. Her YouTube channel has over 2.5 million subscribers and 11 million downloads. Aileen is also the creator of the Artist of Life workbook, best-selling guided journal for intentional living. Through her calming voice, empowering tools, and soulful content, she helps people design life as their greatest work of art. She is currently building Resonance, an audio app for inner transformation. So without further ado, welcome Aileen Xu to the podcast.
Nice to meet you.
I'm so excited. When I was diving into your journey, I looked on your website and how you had just graduated from college and felt what so many people in their 20s feel of falling behind, really lost, unsure of what this next phase is. And I remember clear as day, I graduated during the pandemic, so that wasn't ideal, but I was in my apartment, finally finished my last thing and submitted it. I also felt really similar to that, being okay, what's next? I wonder if we can go back to how you felt in that moment and just share what was going through your head and how maybe that uncertainty taught you certain lessons.
You know what's funny? When I was going through that, I felt like I was so alone. I was the only one going through it amongst my friends and peers. But the truth is everyone goes through that. It's just that you might think everyone is doing well on the outside but we all feel that fear of the uncertainty. And for me, the scariest thing was not having a plan, not having a step-by-step syllabus to follow. Because I feel like your whole life, when you're going through schooling, there's a goal, there's a structure. You know what the next step is. I have to move to the next grade. Then once it's time to decide what you want to do with your life, right? When you graduate from college or whatever schooling, that's where the true uncertainty hits, because if you haven't found a passion or a direction, you're oh my God, what's next? I don't know. And then that not knowing gives so much anxiety. I was typically the overachiever type throughout school. So I felt like it was part of my identity that I'm supposed to know what I'm doing, right? I'm supposed to be on top of things, but my life just started falling apart towards the end of college, right? Senior year of college, by that time, I had already tried out a few different internships. I was trying to explore what career to go into, but I tried many in industries like marketing, entertainment, finance, but none of them felt good to me. Just being in that office environment did not feel good to me. And on the side, I loved music. I had a YouTube channel as a hobby, actually, where I posted singing videos.
Wow.
And I just knew I wanted my life to be more free, more creative, more flexible. There were all these things I wanted to create with my life, but I'm okay, so how do I make that happen, right? If I want to be able to travel whenever I want, if I want to be able to live and work from wherever I want, what are the steps? Can somebody please tell me? And so that was the hard part. And so that kind of sparked the beginning of my journey where I was okay, I know I don't want to go down this corporate route, but I don't know what other ways there are to build a successful life, to create the life I want for myself. And so I set out to find it. And then that led me down this path.
Wow. You're so right of school is so laid out for you. I had the exact same realization when I had graduated, being oh my gosh, this is the first time in what feels like my life, because you can't remember when you're a little baby.
Exactly.
Where nothing is really laid out for you. The assignments, when they're due. But when you graduate and you don't really have that next plan, I felt like everything was up in the air. And that was so overwhelming. But I had this little voice in my head being just keep going. This is life. you need to embrace this period of uncertainty to start to find out what you really love, you
Yeah.
know?
Now, like it's been over a decade, right, since I've graduated. Years later, I realized that life is all uncertainty, right? If you're taking a risk, if
Yeah.
you're doing anything new, it is going to be uncertain. Graduating college, that is really like the first shift of like, wow, you were really nurtured in this structured environment. Maybe you had parents who like really dictated what you did with your time, or maybe not. But either way, it was like you went from structure to like openness.
Mhm.
and and nobody's really taught us how to handle that openness.
Yeah. And when you had these realizations being like, you know what? I tested these waters, I tried these internships. I'm not down for that like traditional life. How was that transitioning into that state? Did you feel like people in your community really or in your life supported that or didn't?
I think it's you have a little bit of both. You have friends
Yeah.
who are supportive. I would say most of my family at that time were like, whoa, whoa, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a period of my life. I would say those 2 years right after graduating is like I really had to learn to stand strong in myself and in my vision for my life because nobody outside can understand what my vision is or what I'm going through. Some people, they are going to judge you if you're doing something that's not conventional or not normal. But one of the biggest lessons of that era was learning not to care about what other people thought of me, learning to be confident in myself, even if I might look weird, even if I might look like a failure to some people. It's like, well, that's your opinion. That's your definition. I am
Yeah.
starting something new. I'm a YouTuber. I am a musician. Like I was exploring all these paths and it was a huge identity shift because I would
Mm.
say that before that, I kind of was in the box, right? I'm a good student. I'm a blah, blah, blah. I was just blending in. And then I had like a physical change, right? I like dyed my hair blonde and pink and I went all these like crazy colors because I'm like, that was my declaration. I've decided to be an artist. I'm going to be a
Mm.
little weird. I don't care what you think about me. And I'm just going to find my way. Yeah, that's kind of how I dealt with that. And there was so many difficult moments of that time. Like my dad and I really argued and butt heads, and we have a complicated relationship. His expectations on me put a lot of pressure on me as well. But I would say there's both the good and the bad and the ugly, but it was also a very beautiful time in my life.
Totally. And usually it is like that, right? Like it is that messy middle. When I was making a shift in my life, a lot of friends that I thought would always stick around didn't, and people who I didn't expect to support me so much did. And I was
Mhm.
like, this is all shocking, but it is, as what you've been sharing, a very like courageous thing to be like, you know what? I got the degree. I'm going to switch something up. I was also a very like high achiever, got straight A's. Like I tried to get the highest GPA possible. And then something kind of switched in me being like, why am I doing this?
Exactly.
What am I doing this for?
Oh yeah. Those are the questions that kind of sparked this journey. Like, why am I like this? What's the purpose of this? I started asking like, what's the purpose of life? And that was the first
Yeah.
time I ever questioned like, why am I living? And
Yeah.
it's almost like I call it like a awakening moment. It's like a aha. Like I realized I had been living on autopilot this whole time, following the direction, following the flow. And then now I'm like, oh, wait, I get to decide. This is my life. I get to choose. Even if it might be messy, like that's my choice. So I think that's really empowering if you get to
It
that point.
is. Getting into Lavendaire and how you created that, I have to just have a moment because by the time this is going to go out, the 10th version of the Artist of Life workbook is going to be out, which is like
Yes,
incredible. It's
thank
been out
you.
for like 10 years.
Yeah. I have some different versions behind. You see those colors? Those are all like
Yeah.
different years of the workbook.
So, has journaling always been like something really central in your life?
I would say yes, because I started scribbling in notebooks ever since I was like a kid. I would just write like, my brother was mean to me today. Just like random things. I have so many journals and notebooks. I definitely like wasn't consistent all my life, right? I had years of not journaling. In high school, I was probably only journaling about breakups when I had a lot of
Yep.
emotions.
Yep.
But I really came back to journaling after graduating college and I started diving into self help because, again, that was the era of I have no idea what to do with my life. I just need to learn all the ways. I went
Yep.
into exploration mode, study mode, reading all these self help books. At the time in my early 20s, that was like not a cool thing to do. Like all of my
Yeah.
friends are partying, going out, and I'm like reading self-help books that are at that time, it seemed like those books were written for like a middle-aged demographic, like people
Yeah.
going through like a midlife crisis.
Mm.
So anyway, I found out about this concept called morning pages, which is from this book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And it's really simple. It's just every morning you do 3 pages of stream of consciousness journaling. So stream of consciousness is just like brain dumping whatever's on your mind. And that practice like inspired me to journal every day. And then I think ever since then, journaling has been like really consistent in my life where I do that stream of consciousness journaling. I brain dump my emotions, my worries, but I also do so much like goal setting, structuring, a lot of like self-discovery exercises. I just love like new exercises and prompts that can like open up a new angle, a new part of
Mhm.
my brain or new part of myself. And that's kind of what birthed the Artist of Life workbook is by the time I launched the first one 2017, well, technically December 2016. So by then I had this whole system that I kind of created for myself that helped me develop self-confidence, self-love, and help me chase after my dreams, like clarify what I wanted and then find the structure to like break it down and take the baby steps to make it real. And I have this whole system where like you break your goals down by the month, you do monthly reviews and reflections to make sure that you're actually moving towards your goals. I think that's a big mistake many people make. They set goals, but they don't actually check, or am I like making progress?
Yes.
So that's kind of the system that worked for me. And I decided to put it in a workbook. And that's how the first workbook was born.
Wow. I will be fully transparent. Journaling, I've always kind of struggled with. Similarly with how you described when I was younger, it wasn't really for the same reasons that I'm doing now. It was like,
Yeah.
this girl was mean to me. This happened in high school today. And afterwards, I kind of fell off with the journaling. And then I had my first experience of like grief, like with somebody passing. And it was the only way that I could process it was journaling like multiple times, even a day. But a goal for myself in 2026 is to start morning pages and like really do that on a regular basis because I have noticed in the past when you do it more, it seems to be like second nature. And you want to go back to it because it's like I want to have this conversation with myself.
Yeah, journaling is so healing. I love it so much because it's a form of self-expression and emotional release. Like we have emotions and we're supposed to like feel them and express them and release them. We can't hold them in. That's not good for us. So journaling is one version. Other people might like running or dancing, and there's so many great versions to release your emotions, but I love journaling because it's so cathartic. If you're a person that thinks a lot of thoughts and you're an overthinker type and you're always in your head, journaling is perfect for you because what I talked about morning pages is literally just brain dumping everything from here onto the page, even if it doesn't make sense, even if you're looping the same thoughts. You can write the same thing over and over again. And then when you see it on paper, you're like, okay, I've written this like 10 times. I've talked about this problem like 10, 20 times. I get it. Like, I don't have to keep going in circles in my head. You start to become aware of yourself, and then you really start to know yourself better. And that's the beauty of it. And like you said, it's a relationship. Like, I look forward to journaling because I get to, I don't know, I love that feeling of release and then discovery of something new. Another thing I love about journaling is the quality of your questions influences the quality of your answers. So, you know, if you don't know what to talk about, of course, it might just be about nothing, which is fine. That's also like just releasing. But as I went on my journaling journey, like, I don't know, I just started getting curious about everything. And the better questions you ask, you'd be surprised at the answers you get. If all the jobs in the world made the same amount of money, which one would I do? Like at the end of my life, what do I want the people around me to think about me? Like all these questions, there's so many different angles where you can look at your life, and then it really gives you perspective. Like, oh, if that's what I care about, then why am I wasting my time doing all these other things, focusing on these other things?
And you bring up such a great point, and it made me think of this Harvard study, the Harvard business, about the importance of boredom. And I think a lot of people will say, you know, like while you're journaling, they're like, oh, this is boring. This is taking too much time. I have other things to do. Like when you got out of college, where you kind of had this awakening and like existential thought, being like, what is life? Who am I? What do I want to do? Many people think that you shouldn't have that. But in the study, it said, that's like the best way to combat depression and finding a meaningful life, which is kind of what journaling does too. Even if I don't know what I'm going to write that day, I'm like, I don't know what I'm supposed to write. I know this is good for
Yes.
me. And then what will
Yeah.
happen is like these subconscious thoughts just like start pouring
Something
onto
will come up.
paper.
Yeah.
And I've noticed I just stay much more aligned with what I really want in life when I'm doing that more consistently.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like one of the reasons why I want to like make that a goal for myself in 2026 is like, Bianca,
Yeah.
this is good for you.
Yeah,
Keep doing
it
it.
is. It's like self-care, right? It's a way to like realign yourself and reset yourself. Like if you're going off track or if you're, I don't know, doing something a little off, like journaling helps you become aware, like, oh, okay, let me come back to center. And I totally agree with the boredom thing, is we need to create space in our lives for the reflection, for just like even for just play, right? The more
Yes.
bored you are, the more creative you get. And there's magic in that. There's magic in the space. So don't always be like, go, 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 doing so much, trying, with a long to-do list. I get it. I have a long to-do list too, but I also try to make space in my life to do nothing because that's really important.
I have to like put it in my schedule, being like, just rest.
Like Friday, these 2 hours, just, yeah, do nothing. Like
Yeah.
follow your joy in those 2 hours. I'm not going to plan it, but when it starts, I'm going to be like, do I feel like doing this? Do I want to watch TV? Do I want to read a book? Let yourself
Yeah.
be led by your body and your intuition. Because otherwise, yeah, like that's also a relationship, right? If you're the type of person that's like, you're almost like a machine where you just like follow the structure, you don't give enough time to like really listen to your body and your intuition. That's really your true compass guiding you to where you should go.
I love that because how I've used to like, and I still struggle with this, but how I've really mainly lived my life is like needing all these to-do lists, certain routines, certain structures. And I've been really trying to get away from that because I'm recognizing that it can do more damage than good. And having that flow and intuitive way of living is a way for you to be like, I'm letting myself not always feel like I need to be in control.
Yes, yes.
You
I think you
know?
need a little bit of both. You can't be like too much off one end because like the
Absolutely.
ideal balance is somewhere like living in the middle where we're flowing between structure and freedom. But yeah, you're so right.
Yeah, my default is more on the structure.
Yeah.
That I think that's important for like people to know about themselves. Is like, what is
Hmm.
your default? Is it like the
Yeah.
structure or is it the flow?
Yep.
Because then you can like schedule. That's why in my schedule I'm like, relax, do something
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
Because otherwise I probably will not do it, you know?
Hmm.
I definitely want to talk about, since you're so passionate about like self-help and I see so much in you, like I jumped into like every single self-help book when I graduated from university. Like I remember Tony Robbins and one book that I absolutely love and helped my spiritual awakening was like A New Earth by Eckhart
Oh, I
Tolle.
love that book. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I need to reread it again. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
is
heavy. It's deep.
so like it's so important for like
Yeah.
so many people to read.
Hmm.
But I think now how much that industry is like erupted and we are both in it. And sometimes we can feel like a little bit overwhelmed of like all the different things that we could do or like what is good for you and what's not. And I'm curious for you, like how have you navigated not just being like somebody who talks in this industry, but like also consuming on that end since social
Mm.
media is just like so busy now with it all.
Well, that's a good question. I think I definitely read more books in the beginning of my journey. To be honest, nowadays, I'm not reading as many self-help books, or even if I am, I'm going through them much slower because I feel like you have different phases of your life for different things. There was a phase where I was like reading everything nonstop, and I think I got a pretty good foundation from what I read. And like I don't really get too caught up in like the social media because social media is all just like bite-sized nuggets of wisdom. Sometimes they can be really great, but I don't try to fall into like, oh, I'm missing out if I don't know this,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you know what's best for yourself. And I believe in timing too. Like if I'm inspired by something, great, but if something is not, I'm not going to try to force it. I'm not going to try to find more information to help me like level up even further because I don't think I need it. That is just the part of you that's saying like, I'm not good enough. I don't know enough. And
Oh,
that's the
that's
part of you,
good.
right? That's the part of you
Yeah.
that feels like you're drawn on all these like reels that are like, if you're not doing this, then da 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 da, like those are meant
Yeah.
to hook you through your insecurities. And I'm nothing bad about that content, right? I make those content too sometimes, but that's because it works. It
Yeah.
works to hook people from their insecurities, from their fears, from their pain points. But that's why as a creator, I know what other creators are doing, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fall
Mm.
for that. I
So
already
true.
already read this. It's not that I already know this. Of course, there's so much more I can learn, but that's why I love long form. I love reading books. I love audiobooks, and then maybe podcasts. But I think audiobooks are always better than podcasts, because if you think about a book, someone spent at least 6 months to a year really crafting it and making it perfect, putting their best ideas in it. Otherwise, it wouldn't sell. It wouldn't become a book. A
Mm.
podcast is like two people yapping. People just,
Yeah.
you can get great info. And like, we both have podcasts, and I love podcasting as well. But I think books have much more quality of information. So that's why I lean towards that if I'm looking for actual, real good information. And so I just trust that everything that I've read or learned or listened to up to that point is enough. And I also trust my intuition, right? I
Mm.
trust that I know what's best for me. I have everything I need in this moment, and I'm fine, right? I don't need to keep scrolling and learning new things.
Yeah. So many great things you brought up there. I
Mhm.
completely agree. Podcast, I love. I feel like I'm just like there with a girlfriend
Right.
sometimes,
They're fun
right?
when you're like doing chores or cooking or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
But audiobooks have this like other layer of depth. And
Mhm.
I have been leaning towards being more intentional with the content that I'm consuming. And I
Mhm.
agree with you. The long form content is more intentional. And as someone who would like markets themselves, right? We know all the hooks and the
Yeah.
tricks and stuff
Yeah.
on social
You're
media,
not
on
gonna like
Instagram.
change your life with like 1 minute, right?
No.
It's not, it might spark something, and I think that's the goal. I think social media content's to like spark your inspiration. Oh, let me dive deep into this topic, right?
Yeah.
This is attachment styles. I need to dive deep on that, right? It's about the intro, but people nowadays are only consuming short form. They're not going deep. They're just like
Yeah.
grazing the surface, and I don't know. I don't love it. That's why I love long form.
Me too. That's why I'm
Mhm.
like OG, like
Yeah.
love YouTube, been
Yes.
been watching YouTube forever and I gravitate towards that. And
Yeah.
it comes back to what you were saying, where a lot of people do goal setting incorrectly, where they just set the goals, they feel inspired, but then they're not actually transforming their lives
Mhm.
by taking
Mhm.
action. And I feel more inclined to like take certain steps and actions when I'm sitting down, being intentional, and like listening to an audiobook or like
Yes.
watching a YouTube video. Podcasts do that too. I don't feel the same way when I watch like an Instagram reel all
You're
the time,
right.
right?
Those Because that reel is designed for you to keep scrolling and watching more and more, it just turns your brain into, it's like watching Netflix but on speed, right? Your
Yeah.
brain is just mush. But think about it, when you're actually like sitting down to journal or you give yourself space, that's when you actually have time to really think, oh, I can now plan. Oh, I'm excited to like plan my goals or plan my life. Yeah, you want to get into that mode where you're focused on
Mm.
yourself, not focused on what's outside of yourself.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. When did you start becoming a content creator? Did you around
So
the time you found
Lavendaire,
from Lavender?
yeah, Lavendaire started 2014. I mentioned I had a YouTube channel before that. It was
Yeah.
like a hobby since, okay, technically from December 2008 was my first YouTube video ever posted. It's like me
Wow.
singing on the piano. And throughout college, it's like it was high school and college where I was posting YouTube videos for music. And then 2 years after graduating, I decided to start Lavendaire because that was after my exploring life, messy journey where I realized that, oh, I didn't follow a set path, but my life is so fun. Even though I'm not like making money or not doing anything, I'm not where I want to be,
Mm.
but starting this journey has been so like eye-opening, and I want to share
Yeah.
that with people online. So I started Lavendaire as that platform to talk about this journey of creating your dream life as I was figuring it out.
Wow. Since you started, I'm thinking about so many young people that are wanting to fulfill a similar path,
Mhm.
right? How has your idea of success changed like from the past 10 years since
Oh my
at
gosh.
the beginning?
I feel like it's done like a 180, almost a 180. I think I had some elements right when I started where I'm like, oh, I wanted to find my version of success, which was like creative freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, all these things that I wanted. that I knew I was not going to get if I went a typical office job. But I, of course, for the first half of my journey, I still put so much of my success in like the numbers. And part of it's how much money you're making because this was like a business. But the other part is like how many followers, how fast is it growing, how many views are my videos getting? Any content creator, you have to care about that, but you can easily get lost in it, right? You can fall too much in it. And then I burnt out a few times because I have it's this tendency where like I push myself so hard and burning out. And I did that a couple times. And then I had to think like, why am I stressing out so much? Why am I suffering for no reason? Right. I have enough. I don't know. I just felt like I'm in control of my life. I don't have a boss, but why am I so like stressed and why am I putting this suffering upon myself, basically? And that was like the key to help me start to slow down and unravel, oh my gosh, it's because I tie my self-worth with my external success. I've started to tie my self-worth with the numbers. When it's high, I'm happy. When it's low, I'm not happy about myself. And I realized like social media is so volatile. Like you can't predict what happens. And that's it's so bad for your mental health to do that. And unfortunately, I think most of us tie our self-worth to something external, whether it's right, like how well you're doing in school and life or whatever, what people think of you. And that's where I had to start to like detach it and really find, okay, what does self-worth look and feel like if I believe I'm worthy and enough, even if I'm a failure, no matter what I do. I can do nothing and be worthy and lovable. And so I really had to work on that. And it was like so many layers. Like there's healing. I did talk therapy. I did somatic healing. So I went to this holistic healer where like it's kind of part yoga, part tai chi. It's Eastern holistic healing stuff where you're literally releasing emotions from your childhood that taught you about, right? Like you have certain beliefs that you formed in your childhood. So it's like starting to unlearn, starting to undo. There's so many parts of that story, but ultimately that's the journey that I went on, I would say from 2019 to 2020, like around that era to now is just letting go. And then now success to me means me following my joy and staying authentic to myself the whole way, regardless of what the outcome is on the outside. Like things can be falling, but I still love myself. I still take care of myself. I still feel good about myself. It's learning to be so strong internally.
I love that. You're so right that everybody ties something external to their worth. And that is a part of like the 20s detox is like unlearning belief systems and patterns. And like, it always comes down to like something you've connected with your worth that should never have happened.
Like you want to live where you're honoring yourself, your true self, and you feel that within, right? You feel when you're pushing yourself too hard and you're not honoring your soul. Like if you're doing something you're not meant to do, like it feels, it's like the worst feeling. It's like so annoying. It's just, it kills your soul. Like I'm talking about that, right? You want to live in a way where you're fulfilling your soul. And like a simple way to say that is like following your joy, following what lights you up. And if you really think about it long-term, big picture, like at the end of your life, would you view these little ups and downs as successes and failures? Like, no, you probably wouldn't. Because the failures lead to your success, right? If I looked at my life in my early 20s, I was not making money. I was trying a bunch of things, failing at so many things, literally over and over. Like at that time, I felt like I was a failure. But at the same time, I had the courage to try new things. I had the courage to take a different path. And that path taught me so much that led me to my success. And so was that really failing? I don't think it was failing. I consider, right? It's part of the journey. And that's how I start to view success now is like the failures are part of the success. So regardless of whether it looks like failure or success on the outside, what really matters more is the inside, how you're feeling through the ups and the downs.
This is making me think of, so my sister's an artist, she's a painter. And when she decided to not fulfill her degree, it was a science degree, it said, you know what, I'm going to pay for college to go to art and, you know, like that's what I want to do. And I remember thinking, I need to like have that level of conviction that despite what people might think, or despite like people saying you're not going to make as much money than if you went that
Hmm.
route, etc., that she knew something deep within herself to like go
Yes.
through with it. And that's what I'm hearing in you being like,
Hmm.
even though I wasn't, like maybe not all my family was on board with it or all my friends, and I wasn't that like success right when I started, it still had this like inner voice in me being like, this is what you're meant to do though. Like keep
Yes.
going. It's not loud. It's like this little knowing. That's really what I try and like urge my friends to have as well, because everything else just kind of fizzles away. Like,
Yes, yes. I know you can call it so many different things like your soul, your intuition, or something
yeah,
divinely guided. But I truly believe you have to like build that relationship so that that voice gets stronger. Because it is true. Like during that time, of course, I had moments where I felt like a mess, but I always had this like internal knowing that I feel good in this direction. Like I don't know if it's leading me in the best, efficient, quickest way, but it's in the right way. And that's
yeah.
what matters. And it always feels good when you're following that voice. You never regret it.
You don't. I heard about this like literally 6 years ago, so I can't believe I just remembered. But it's like, stop trying to convince everybody of your vision,
Mm,
despite what you believe in, like the universe, God, or whatever. But God gave you that vision. Like, I think that's the feeling that I go with, being
yes.
like, no wonder people don't get it. Like, this is for me to do.
Exactly. It's like only you can see this picture or this movie. Nobody else knows, nobody else can see it. So they don't
Yeah.
understand it. So you just have to like walk the path and then eventually they'll understand.
Yeah. You
Hmm.
you seem like you have like a really good sense of like self, even though maybe in the moments you were like, I didn't. But would
Yeah.
you tell your younger self, like when you first started, anything like that she wasn't really believing in that moment?
Oh my God, I would tell her so many things that I know now, but I think mainly I would tell her to relax and stop worrying so much
Yeah.
because you're on the right track and success takes time. Things take time. Like us wanting to graduate college and be an immediate success, like that is just unrealistic for most of us. And even if,
Absolutely.
let's say, someone does become instantly successful, that also brings a lot of difficulties and problems with it, right? The journey is not one point. It's not one picture. The journey is like ongoing. And that's why you can't compare yourself to anyone else's journey or path because the timing of everything is so different. You can have like a great time when someone else is like slowly building. They can have a great time when you're having a low time. And there's so many different colors in a journey. So it's impossible to compare you to anyone else. You just have to focus on your path that you trust that this is right.
You're totally right with that. I think it is a trap though that so many of us fall into, where we feel behind a lot.
Hmm.
And then you have to wonder, like, behind who though? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
behind whose life? Like, that's
Yeah.
not my life.
Hmm.
And it's like another unlearning, as I say. It's like it's
Yes,
quite literally like a life of unlearnings that we have, and like
it really
relearning.
is. It's also because when you're in school, you're judged amongst like the peers with the same homework or the same test or whatever. So it's easy to compare where everyone's doing the same thing, but in life, everyone's doing different things and there's different timings for everyone. And really the desire to like have it all right away is just that desire for certainty, right? Because
Yeah.
humans, we have such a difficult time with unknowing and uncertainty that we just want to know. We just want to get there right away. It's that like,
Yeah.
give it to me now. But that's not the beauty of life. Like you don't want it all now. I know you want it now, but the truth is the journey getting there is going to feel so much more fulfilling and rewarding. And you're going to grow so much through the journey, through the ups and downs. Like your character is going to grow, your confidence is going to grow, and you're going to be grateful for that journey instead of just like all the success coming to you right away because you wouldn't appreciate it.
Absolutely. I remember driving and wasn't making nearly as much as like my other friends at the time, because I was just like, I want to try something here. Like realistically, I'm gonna have to work the rest of my life anyway. So might as well be bold now while I don't
Hmm.
have so many responsibilities and don't have
Exactly.
children to feed or anything. And
Yeah.
um I just like had this like thought keep coming in my head being like, the process of life, like, those games we used to play as kids where like maybe you're like cooking and like you level up the oven, or like
Hmm.
you get like a new utensil to like build a different dish. Like that is kind of like life, where you're like,
Hmm.
I'm able to like level up, and those little moments make it. Like,
Yeah.
that's fun. I just thought about that driving. I'm like, it's literally like one of those games. Like life
Yeah.
is like one of those games, you know?
Yeah.
You mentioned a lot about life as art or like a work
Mhm.
of art. Do you
Mhm.
mind like getting into that just a little bit?
Oh
Because
my
I think
gosh,
that's
thank you for
so
asking.
unique. Like I haven't heard many people express like life that way.
Gosh, thank you so much for asking because this is like my message in my for my brand. And when I started Lavendaire, I knew like I had that tagline already. Life is an art, make it your masterpiece.
Mm.
And I'm that's like I'm planning to write a book on this topic. But basically, I mentioned how I was pursuing music, mainly music and a few other creative things, but mainly music for those couple years after graduating. And so at that time, I was also learning everything I could about what it takes to be an amazing artist. Like, how do artists become great? And I think it's through that and also my diving into self help that I saw so many connections. And I started to see life as, oh, life truly is like a canvas that we can create anything that we want. I believe each person is the artist of their own life, and you can create anything you want with your life. But the thing is, we don't all start with the same canvas. It's not blank, right? You start with certain colors, certain shapes already there, which are like your family, your upbringing, your personality, your gifts, your strengths. We all have like this unique set of, I guess, this package that makes us uniquely us. And it's with that package and with our experience and our past that we can then decide, okay, what do I want to create next? Like I have like half of this painting is created, but like what else do I want to add? Do I want to erase something? That's the unlearning. Do I want to like go in a new direction, right? Do I want to scrap it all and start fresh? I really saw
Mm.
that life is that art that you can craft and shape, and you are the artist, and all of your gifts and your strengths, like those are just your tools. Like your resources, your network, those are your tools. You work all of these things in your life to create, like to manifest literally what you want in reality. And this metaphor works in so many ways because artists, when they first have a vision before they create. Sometimes artists don't have the full vision. Like it could be a blurry vision, be like, I kind of want to go in this direction. And so they just start painting. And then as you start
Yeah.
painting, the vision starts to come to you. You start to like you start to realize, oh, let me try this green. Oh, this green is better. And that's the metaphor for life is that we all have some sort of general blurry vision, but we obviously don't know all the details. But you have to start creating and start taking action, start doing, and it's from the doing that the path will unfold for you.
That
Yeah,
is
there's so many layers to
so
this. I love it.
amazing. I'm just like thinking about that because when you were like, there's already shapes there from your life.
Yeah.
That's a really cool way of,
If you think
approaching
of
it.
like when you were a child, obviously you didn't have a fully formed brain. Your parents were like holding your hand, painting your life for you.
Yeah.
They were guiding you, which is
Wow.
fine. But when you're an adult and you start to be able, you can decide for yourself. I'm the artist now. I'm in control. That's like the awakening aha moment. Then you can, choose whatever you want to do from there.
I used to paint a lot when I was younger. And some of the things, especially if you're using mediums like oil paintings or acrylics, especially, like you can paint over something and
Yes.
barely know
Yeah.
anything is there, right? There's like hidden like Easter eggs when you go to galleries and you're like, oh, I can find where there
Yeah,
used to
there
be
might be like the
something before.
imprint,
Yeah.
right? Like
And
it's
like that
still
made me think
there,
of it.
but you can still paint over it. And
But
it
you can
doesn't
paint
erase
over it.
it. Yes, yes, you made it your own. I love that so much. Another
Yeah.
part of this life as an art and being an artist of life is this idea that everyone starts out as an amateur artist, right? Like you're not good when you start. And so I think what people are missing in life is learning the skills to be a good artist of life. Like, how do I become a master artist of life so that I can paint whatever is in my vision? Because when you're an
Mm.
amateur, you might have this vision, oh, I want to create this beautiful painting, this beautiful image, but then you actually do it and then you're like, oh, my skills are not there. This is ugly. This is crap.
Wow.
That's a
Yeah.
metaphor for life. We need to learn the skills to actually manifest our dreams to reality. And those skills are everything from building consistency, commitment, discipline, skills of like social skills. Maybe you have to network to achieve your dream. That's a skill you have to work on. I think people are forgetting that you actually have to develop yourself in order to
Yeah.
like be that future self in your dream life. You know what I mean? Like that future self has learned so many
Absolutely.
things. They have habits and like positive habits. They have a good routine. They take care of their health. All of these things are part of learning to be a good artist.
And I'm thinking about when I was like 22, I wanted to be like current me with the
Yeah.
tools and the skills I had, but like you have to be able to develop that. And I
Yes.
get like the want to have it like this because
Mhm.
it doesn't always feel great painting something. I'll go back to literally painting and you had this vision in your head and it doesn't look like anything that you either had in your head or you were like referencing to if there was like some other painting or a photo. But then eventually, if you get practicing and trying out like different tones or different like layers, because it honestly, life and art is all layers.
Yeah. People want to create that life with one swoop. No, it happens brick by brick, like layer by layer.
I
Yeah.
love this metaphor so much. Like,
Isn't
I'm
it
gonna,
fun
it's
for
so
artists?
fun. And
Yeah.
it makes you just like snap back into feeling in control of your life again. Not
Yes.
that
Yes.
people are painting this for you, realizing you're actually eventually painting this. And
Yes.
you have control being like, do I want to paint this thing anymore? Or do I want to paint something different? Because, like I said, we can paint over it and we can change
Yeah.
it, right?
Yeah.
So I
It
love it.
changes the way you think about failure and mistakes too, because like you said, in art, you have to practice. You have to practice in order to
Yeah.
like get good. So imagine like when you're making mistakes, you're just trying, you're just practicing. It's like you're sketching and you're like, oh, that's bad. Let me erase. Let me try again. That's the process of life of making mistakes until you can paint exactly what you want to paint.
Yeah, it's like Bob Ross, like happy accidents. You know, like
Yes.
these are all happy accidents. I'm just
Yeah.
gonna keep saying that. Like if I just like mess
Yeah.
up, I'm like, well, it's just a little blurb on the canvas, happy accident. Like I'll be
Exactly.
able, you know, like
Exactly.
I'll be able to work
Yeah.
around that.
One more thing that came to me about this metaphor that is a concept in my book is that art is a process of like co-creating with the universe or with the divine.
Mm.
Because you, as the artist, you have, of course, your own ideas and your own intentions. But again, you don't exactly know where this is going to end up. You take an action, you make a choice, and then like something happens, right? And then life throws you something or life is also working with you as you are creating. So it's not all
Mm.
you. As you notice, like if you're in the middle of creating art, you might get like a random spark of inspiration to like change directions or to like, I don't know, just these things happen as we're creating and it's not all us. It's like we're literally co-creating or collaborating
Yeah,
with the divine. And that's a beautiful dance.
that is a beautiful dance. I'm so excited for your book.
Thank
That's gonna
you.
be
Such a big project. I'm working on like one chapter. Like just
mm.
it's different. Working on a book versus content, it's so much bigger of a project.
Yeah, it's like a baby. Like you're
Yeah,
literally like birthing
I
something
know.
right now,
Yeah,
and it takes a
yeah.
lot of work. So
Yeah.
I can only imagine. Okay, to almost wrap up, I have this question that I ask every guest on it because I hadn't mentioned this, but the theme for this season is called She Breaks Barriers. And
Mm.
naturally, through a conversation, I never really need to preface it because it happens through all of the conversations that we share unlearnings that we've had or barriers that we've pushed through and like how we've gotten to where we are today. But I'm curious if there is a current barrier that you might be breaking right now in your life.
Yes. So I'm currently in a new chapter of my life where I feel like I'm evolving beyond just the content creator. And I know I've had my stationery business for a while as well, but like this past year, I kind of like broke into like the tech world because I'm working on an app basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's called Resonance. For a while, I was debating between two app ideas, but the one I've decided to work on first is Resonance, which is an app that focuses on sound for inner transformation. So there's like guided meditations, guided affirmations, just guided little talks, as well as sound healing, relaxing music. There's also like a meditation timer, focus timer, journaling timer. So there's like a lot of like features to it, but the goal is it's a space that you go to return to yourself. Like we talked
Yeah.
about, like when you need space to journal or when you want to meditate or when you want to realign your mindset or beliefs, it's a space where you go. And so it's been a new experience for me because creating an app is like such a different process. But I'm very happy and excited because I feel like I'm creating something that can last you know, versus when
Yeah.
you're creating content, sure, it lives online forever, but there's kind of like this, like, you know, you always have to be creating new content. People forget about the old stuff. But with
Yeah.
this, it's literally like a tool that's in digital form that people can use every day. So I'm really excited about that. And because I think we're still in the beginning. I know like mindfulness, self-help, self-love, all of these, I guess, topics and fields are kind of mainstream, but I really think that the wellness world can explode even more on the digital realm. Like
I
people haven't leaned
agree.
into, right? Like sound healing is an aspect of my app. Like there's different frequencies that are literally scientifically proven to like raise, like to heal certain things, like to help us release
Yes.
emotions or there's just so much more that is yet to be untapped by a lot of people. And so I think there's so much potential.
I love that. I was literally listening to a frequency sound right
Oh my
before
gosh.
this to like ground
Yes.
myself. So like I
Yes.
agree with you.
I think people don't realize the power of sound to like shift our emotions or to shift our energetic state. Like if you put on a high energy, fun, dancey song, it naturally makes you want to start moving your body. It's because we are made of energy and
Yeah.
sound is a form of energy that can penetrate through space. And that's why when you go to a concert, everyone is like moving to the music. It's impossible to move off beat when you're in a crowd where everyone's like on beat. I don't know. It's
True.
like such a powerful thing. So sound can like instantly shift you. And it's a tool that I don't think people use enough, right? If
I
you're having a
agree.
bad day, you can literally like use sound to like shift your feeling. Like you can get out of it much quicker through
Yeah.
sound. I'm also someone who like I don't like when music is too angry or too like
Yeah.
negative. Like I can hear they wrote that from their trauma side and I'm like I don't want to listen to that on repeat. Like
I
it might be fun
know.
the first time, but I'm not gonna repeat that
Well,
that
because
negative
it
belief.
holds power, like you said.
Yes, yes.
Well, this was so fun of a conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for coming on here. Like, your story is amazing, so inspirational. I have so many like friends that also listen to my podcast and they're getting into their creative side or wanting to be entrepreneurial, and it can be really scary and daunting, but with stories like you've been sharing and kind of how you approach this industry and like what entrepreneurship can be is very intentional and like with love, and you definitely embody that message of art. Like I hope you see that, like you definitely embody that, and like I feel it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bianca. This was so fun, honestly. And you are such a gem. Your questions were great. I had so much fun. Thank you.
Oh, yay. Well, before we go, do you want to share where people can find you?
Yes. So you can find me at Lavendaire on YouTube and Instagram. And like we mentioned earlier, we just launched our Artist of Life workbook for 2026. So the website is shop.lavendaire.com.
The date of the launch, is it October 30th? Is that
Yes,
right?
that's the official date.
Official date. So it'll be live. Get your workbook, and we can also be on this journey of journaling together.
Yes.
2026.
Make your dreams come true in 2026.
Woo! Okay.
Yay.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. This was so
And
fun.
yes, and thanks all of you for listening. I appreciate you for being here and spending the time to listen to us chat about all things wellness, self-help, and entrepreneurship as two girls navigating it all. I hope that this inspired you, and I'll see you all next week. Bye, guys.